सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा वसुदेवं सुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं हरि ओम कृष्णं
Krishna.
वन्दे जगद्गुरुं Namaskar. So we continue our journey into correspondence with Sri Aurobindo. If anybody can recollect any point that we saw in the last week, we can just form the link and go ahead. And for those who cannot turn on the video feeds, you can just edit your name. You can just share it there so it's easier. Yes, please. Anybody, can you recollect something that we saw last?
Yeah, so like one point we saw that when we meet somebody, we should be able to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
There is an effect.
The
So,
draining should not take place, isn't
yes,
it?
yes. So,
Sometimes our what Shervindo called vital exchanges take place and a person gets drained of the energies. Absolutely. So let's continue. Shervindo had replied, I think, to Dr. Nirodhan when he said that during pranam, he did not keep his hand on his head, and Nirodhan wanted to know if there was some twist. So Shervindo said, there is nothing like that. Do not imagine anything. And so let's continue. Dr. Nirad Bran writes, he says, here is a letter from Jay. He asked me to pray for him and to take a flower from you. And he would also like to come here. Sri Aurobindo replies, you must understand that if we refuse persistently Jay's demand, we have good reason for it. I do not understand really what he wants you to do. Flowers are usually given on special occasions and he can have them then. So there's some sadhak, some seeker who wanted the flower from Shervindo and somehow indirectly he wanted a lateral entry into the ashram. So he was trying to use Dr. Nirodharan for the same. Let's continue. Dr. Nirodharan writes, he says, I find that the concentration before going to bed merges unconsciously into sleep. Shervindo replies, these things cannot have their effect in a moment. You must persevere till the physical consciousness is penetrated. So I think the last week we also saw about how one must go into sleep, which should not be a sudden sleep which is unconscious. Even going into sleep, there is a proper way of entering into that consciousness, just like it is in while waking. Sharavindo told we must concentrate and become silent. Well, Dr. Nirodharan wants results immediately. Sharvindo says it does not have an effect in a moment, and you must persevere. That is important. Dr. Nirodharan writes further, I have marked that if we write to you about some defects, some wrong moments, etc., they are immediately rectified, but only for a day or two. Then gradually the old habits, wrong turns of the mind creep in. So the effectivity of writing to Sri Aurobindo is saying is just temporary only. Whenever we write about our flaws, he says they immediately rectify, but only for a day or two. But again, the mind has this habit, the old habits, wrong turns of the mind gradually creep in. That is what he's saying. Nirotban, Sri Aurobindo replies, again, transformation does not happen by a miracle in a day. It must be gained by constant aspiration, patient perseverance, and persistence. One must recollect that this is also written, while it is universal, it is also written specifically for a young Dr. Nirodharan. It was written for his sadhana. And somewhere Sri Aurobindo felt that this is very important. And I think everywhere it is important, isn't it? Perseverance, and it has to be done regularly. As in the Gita, Krishna says, Abhyasa is important without regular practice. So the same thing is there. But this is the habit of we see, isn't it? Old habits of the mind, they creep in. No? what we call
Yes.
past sanskaras. We decide to do something, but our mind has got used to doing something for so many times that automatically, this is especially when this is because we're trying to become conscious of our thoughts.
Mm.
But many of us have the habit of overthinking also, no? And when we are overthinking, then it becomes like a pattern. A situation happens, and in response to that situation, the mind immediately goes back to its own pattern. So one of the things people would do is they would write down. They would write that down and their flaws and their faults and write it to the mother or share window, and then that would change. How will it change is my question. How does writing down change it? Writing it down and
It's
offering it to the mother or share window.
yes, but once you write it down, you more conscious of it. It's visible. It's not in
Hmm.
here. And then, something you think in your mind, one thinks in one's mind, we know right from wrong, but when you write it down, it's so visible that you can't get away from it.
So that is nice. So we can write down nowadays also if we want and give it to the mother and share window. Can we
Yeah,
follow that?
yes,
Yes.
why not?
Maybe we can,
Yeah,
what is not, I want to change something in me. I can just take a pen and paper and, hey, hey mother, or hey ma, or hey pa, or Shermindu, however you are having a relation with, you can just write that down on a piece
yeah,
of paper, fold it consciously and offer it. Let us see how many days that change lasts. If our sadhana is strong and we are persevering, just offering it can lead to a transformation. That is one thing. Yes, thank you, Maji. Let's continue. Um, Dr. Nirotpan writes, just now I received peace telegram. I am sure you will give him permission, won't you? Dr. Nirotpan asks. Sharvindo replies, the permission may be given, but does he want to stay in the ashram? If so, does he know the ways of life here? And that he must conform to them, and also about the expenses, or will he stay outside? Then more questions. For how long is he likely to come? All this should be understood before you answer. So everybody, once they knew that Shervindo is getting correspondence from Dr. Nirodharan, everybody began using Dr. Nirodharan as a means to push their prayers and wishes to Shervindo. Excuse me. Dr. Nirodharan, he writes, some days I walk into the pranam hall with joy and warmth, filling my whole being. On other days, the whole being seems calm and quiet. Which is the better condition? So these are he's observed his own state of mind, and he says, some days when I offer, some days when I go to the pranam hall, that time I'm sometimes filled with joy, warmth, and complete feeling is there of joy and warmth. Other times there is calm and quiet. So let us see. Shervindo replies, both are good, and there is no harm in their alternating till the joy and peace can combine. So these are two different states, but ultimately it is when your consciousness is full, you'll experience Ananda also and Shanti. Both come together. So until that point comes in our sadhana where we are having a sustained bliss and sustained peace, it's all right. You can have these alternating moments. Let's continue. April 22, 1933. Dr. Nirodharan, he writes, last night while I was concentrating, lying in bed, I entered into a half wakeful state, which made me a little afraid. I tried to fall asleep, but the state of concentration would not leave me. At last, sleep came. Is this an intermediate stage? So now Dr. Nirodharan is experimenting on what is conscious sleep. So he's getting some experiences. But look at the luxury, no? He can write directly to Sri Aurobindo. We don't find anybody to write to. Here, this guy is so lucky that Every little thing he's able to address. Of course, his surrender was also so sweet and so perfect that he was a worthy person. Let's continue. Sherbindo replies, yes, I don't know why you should have any fear. It is a quite usual experience of the concentrated state when one is going inside. Dr. Nirodhan, he goes on, he says, as the meditation deepens, a sense of pressure is felt on the head. I don't suppose it is anything abnormal. Sri Aurobindo replies, it is on the contrary, the most normal thing everybody feels at a certain initial stage. So, how many of us have felt that when we have sat for dhyana or meditation, a kind of a pressure building on the head? Anybody has felt it? Chitraji says yes. Uh, can you share something then in that case?
Yeah, it was especially during the initial times and when we try to concentrate on this point, I used to get a
Ah,
headache.
okay.
And then slowly I got used to
It's,
it.
it's stopped afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Anybody else who felt something similar while meditating? Some kind of pressure on the head? All right, let's
One
continue.
does,
So, yes,
sorry, I just
yes,
wanted
madam.
to say, one does feel um, pressure and restlessness,
Hmm.
and it's very difficult then to calm down.
Or continue the meditation also, no?
Yes, yes,
But we should continue, isn't it?
yes,
Nevertheless, we have to,
yes.
after a while, Shervindo says that it will disappear after a while. It will go away. When I used to sit for dhyana, first thing I would think was some kind of fly or some insect is sitting on me or something like that, and then I felt an urge to scratch. So different, I don't know, monkey mind will get more distractions. So that sort of had so many distractions. So it was difficult initially, but eventually those distractions do disappear.
Mm.
Let's continue. Dr. Nirod, he writes, I hear that one can pray for a friend and write to you about him. Sherbindo. He says, yes, but don't do it for people who have not the turn for yoga. Each has his own movement, his own time in this life or another. So, writing to Sherbindo is helping, is what Dr. Nirosbaran experienced and heard also. So, he says, can I do that for everyone? Sherbindo replies, yes, but don't do it for people who have not the turn for yoga. Each has his own movement, his own time in this life or another. This is something very interesting. Haven't we prayed for others? All of us. Have we not prayed for others? Sometimes getting
We,
mixed results. Sometimes
yes,
because of that, questioning the sincerity of our prayers or the efficacy of our prayers, or sometimes efficacy of the divine only in answering the prayers. This happens because of the mixed expectations. But a very important point has been told by Sri Aurobindo. He says, but don't do this for people who have not the turn for yoga, meaning who don't have that opening towards the divinity. This writing and this, because in the Gita also Krishna has said that, isn't it? Don't speak this wisdom or don't pass on the message of the Gita to someone who has not done sacrifice, who does not know the meaning of Tyaga, who does not understand the meaning of yoga, or does not aspire to move forward. The only reason why
mhm,
it is told no is not that it is some kind of a forbidden thing. It is just that it won't be effective, isn't it? Somebody is not receptive. Only when someone is open can that person receive the prayers. It's like our well wishes for people. Sometimes even kind words, loving words we pass on to people. No, if that person is closed, if that person does not listen to you or doesn't care about what you say, what's the use of all your words? You are going to just waste energy because that person will not receive. So that is one nice point. And another interesting thing is Aurobindo says each has his own movement, his own time in this life or another. So I think that gives us a little bit of peace also, no? We're in a
Yeah.
rush always because we think everything is in this life only. Forget this life. This life also, I don't have time. It has to happen now, now. And then when we start getting restless, yeah, Sri says it's all right, don't pressure, don't push anybody into anything. Even the spiritual path, a day will come, isn't it? It will open whenever each person, because each soul has a soul growth and a movement, a trajectory. Who knows, somebody would be completely on a different path, but gathering experience, the Jivatman keeps gathering it. In that one moment, there would be a transformation. And then that person will suddenly be like he is faster than Usain Bolt in his prime, also going so ahead on the path. So that is there. And Shervinda says, even he says, this birth or another. This is again reaffirming the principles of the Gita. We are all coming birth after birth. We are moving forward in our yoga sadhana. So this will happen now or later. Any questions? Anybody wishes to ask something? No. All right, let's continue. Dr. Nirodharan. Yeah, please feel free to ask anybody if you wish to. Dr. Nirodharan, he says, for some days there is joy and enthusiasm. Sadhana goes on well. Then there comes a lapse when there is less joy and meditation needs effort. Sri Aurobindo, he replies, these alternations are quite normal. In the low periods, one has to remain quiet, assimilate what one has received, and aspire for more. So even in sadhana, there are going to be alternate moments, just like in life for everybody. Sometimes there's going to be a lot of joy and enthusiasm. Well, when you are having joy and a lot of enthusiasm, what's going to happen? Well, whatever you do, you're going to do well. Same is the case with sadhana. But the problem comes when that is not there, isn't it? So there, Dr. Nirban says even meditation feels like an effort. But Sri Aurobindo has beautifully said that in the low periods, remain quiet, assimilate what one has received, and aspire for more. So these two nice things we can do. We can assimilate what has been received and aspire. That is something which you can do when the low moments come as well. May 1933. S writes to me that he is suffering from urinary trouble and he refuses to have any treatment except your blessings. This is one thing Sri Aurobindo had to deal with. So many people, and the advantage, there is an advantage of having absolute freedom, isn't it? In sadhana, everybody is able to. But then there's sometimes disadvantage also, where there is this disadvantage of not properly utilizing that freedom. So here, this person is refusing, though they have a dispensary, they have a doctor. Says my bless for me, Sri Aurobindo's blessings will treat my urinary trouble. I don't need any treatment. Sri Aurobindo replies to this question. You can send blessings, but he ought to use every means to get rid of his illness. It is only if he has a calm mind and a sound body that he can do yoga. His present state is too disorganized to bear any pressure. So this particular sadhak is at the moment quite disorganized, and one must use every means to get rid of the illness. That is what Sri Aurobindo has told. Just because divine grace will work does not mean you have a duty, isn't it, towards the body also. That must be taken care of. And again, calm mind and sound body is required for yoga. If our mind is not calm, yoga sadhana will never take place. That is something we have to take to our heart. Let's continue. Sh- Nirodparan, he writes, I read in the synthesis of yoga that every act, movement, etc., must be done as an offering, even if by a mental effort. This mental discipline is easy in acts of mechanical nature, but not so easy in those of concentrative nature, where the attention gets divided. So, this is a very beautiful book written by Shervindo called The Synthesis of Yoga. The synthesis of yoga is like a very beautiful one where all different secrets and different paths, all of them have been very nicely made one. So our Dr. Nirotpan was reading that book, and while reading, he said every movement, every act must be done as an offering, even if there is this requiring a lot of mental effort. He says it's very easy to do such things for mechanical works, but for somebody who is having a concentrated mind, for that person, it is very difficult because that concentrated mind is going to be invested in so many places. It is difficult to make every offering. Yeah, do you agree to this statement by Dr. Nirotpan? Yes, that the mental discipline is easy in acts of mechanical nature, but not so easy in those of concentrative nature, where attention gets divided. Yes,
It's like driving a car, you can be distracted, but
yeah,
you're on autopilot.
huh? But you are on
You're
autopilot.
on
Okay,
autopilot, you know what you're doing. You might be a bit
yes.
distracted, but when you
So,
have to concentrate and drive,
hmm,
in certain areas, that's a
yeah,
different story that really
hmm,
takes it out of a person. It's
yeah.
difficult.
Generally, sometimes when the high road is clear and it's a nice highway, it's fine. But when you enter
Yeah,
into the city, especially if you're in India, every street, any side, one child will come, one cow will come. We do not know what's going to happen from which direction. You have to be extra alert. So there are so many
yeah,
points of concentration. Same thing it
yeah.
is what Dr. Niralpuran is asking. Let us see. Shervindo replies, it is because people live in the surface mind and are identified with it. When one lives more inwardly, it is only the surface consciousness that is occupied, and one stands behind it in another, which is silent and self offered. So, this is very interesting. People who are not having this ability to move on autopilot at all in their life, they're always on the their mind is always on the surface, only looking at things, what it is on the outside. They are not able to withdraw and observe. But when you are able to go inwards, then you can see. Means you can, as Maji gave a beautiful example. That's an example of somebody who is not just living on the surface mind only. When a person is withdrawn, then both these states can be done, isn't it? Autopilot also can work, and concentrated action also, and again withdrawing. That is possible. Only for that we have to live inwardly, move inwards. When you move inwards, it is possible. And there at that state, the mind can be behind and the mind will have offered to the divine and it will also be silent at the same time. When you have offered to the divine, you are really not bothered about the consequences and you are not bothered about the outcomes also. You are just doing your duty and everything is as per the divine will. That offering is done. Once the offering is done, you don't have to worry anything else. But for that, again, the sincerity and completeness of surrender is required. If the surrender is incomplete, the mind will keep playing, and according to the nature of the individual, those thoughts would come and they would disturb the peace of the mind. Dr. Niruddhan, he asks a question very nicely. He says, what is meant exactly by opening oneself? Calling you, praying to you, remembering you, etc. So Sri Aurobindo replies, there are acts, these are acts of the mind. Openness is a state of consciousness, which keeps it turned to the mother, free from other movements, expecting and able to receive what may come from the divine. So opening oneself means becoming receptive to the grace of the divine. So whatever he said, praying to you, remembering, these are all acts. But opening is the consequence. It is a state of consciousness. By these acts, you can make yourself open to receive, free from other moments, and able to receive what may come. It's whatever the divine. The problem is we are not open, so we are not receiving the grace. Why am I feeling sad? Why am I not feeling happy? what is going on in my life? The answer is this: I am not open to the divine grace. The moment I am open to the divine grace, there is a flood of joy in my life. That is the flood of Ananda. The Ananda comes from the association with the divine, the connect with the divine. All such acts, when we do them right, there is going to be what we can say a beautiful flow and channeling of the grace. Bend and bow to the divine and receive the grace. No? It is something like that. Without it, it's not really going to work. Nirodbaran, he writes, I hear you have some special hours when you work for us. Shervindo, no, it is not so. A lot of gossip goes on there. Nirodbaran, Mother, today after pranam, as I raised my eyes, I could not but mark something different in your look, as if some surprise, some concern, even the suggestion of a reproach was trying to express itself. Not at all. How many times you will see this? All imaginations of Dr. Nirodparan. This last time we saw, he did not touch your hand. Was it because I did something wrong? Well, these are all plays of the mind. And it's very sweet that Sharon replies to every single thing. Nowadays, we do this what we call ghosting, isn't it? To friends. This message was not worth replying, so I did not reply. When our friend catches and asks us, this was a pointless message. We don't even bother the courtesy. But look at this. Sri Aurobindo is replying his young Shishyas every question. And this is so great because there was such a great mountain of correspondence for Sri Aurobindo. He had his work, he had the sadhana, he had the, writing. Now we know how much he has written, but during those periods, nobody knew what was going on. He was writing all these things. In that, he would look after administrative issues when there were other troubles. India's freedom struggle was going on. Revolutionaries, great personalities who had a big role in shaping India's independence, all of them would correspond with him. And yet, he had this sincerity to even respond to the smallest of small correspondences. This is a great virtue and a great lesson for all of us to be approachable. We must be approachable like this to people in our life. I was very, very lucky that I got a response from Dr. Abdul Kalam once. I was so happy, and that was a time when I was questioning my own sanity. I had sent my book of poems, but he did read it and then he replied that he did like a poem. And that day I got a reply. I felt like I have got a big reply now. Now that's it. Now nobody in the world can tell me. So this is how great people do. They are the great examples. No matter what, everybody is busy, but let us be never so busy that we will not be able to engage in a genuine correspondence with people whom we care about or who care for us. That should not happen. Otherwise, we are just getting trapped in Maya of the world. Let's continue. Dr. Nirodhan, he writes, I feel it may be due to one of two reasons. First, I have been having vital thoughts, but he's referring to the look, why he felt that look was different. He's explaining further. Though Sri Aurobindo said there was nothing like that. He says, I feel it may be due to one of two reasons. First, I have been having vital thoughts. But when I realized they may be due to yoga, my mind settled down. Sri Aurobindo underlined due to yoga and put a question mark in the margin. So he's saying because of yoga, he was having these vital thoughts or thoughts driven by desires. Then, second, I had to go to the pyre with X as she was not feeling well, and I came back depressed. So, so he's saying two reasons he feels why that look was there, even after Sherbindo clarified that there was nothing like that. First one is saying because of yoga, I was having vital thoughts. So Sherbindo has underlined that and put a question mark. How can you have because of yoga? And second, he's gone to the pyre with X. There was an old pyre in Pondicherry. I think very recently it got destroyed by a cyclone. I think 2, 3 years back, or maybe 4 years. But that was a very beautiful place to go and sit and watch the sea. So here he's gone with X, but he came back depressed. Shermindo replies, the pyre itself has a very bad atmosphere nowadays. Let's continue. Nirodparan, for which of the two reasons did you give me that searching look? Sherbindo replies, for neither. You looked depressed, so mother looked at you. And there was no search. There was no other search. Sherbindo is clarified. Dr. Nirodharan goes on. I feel much better when alone, but sometimes I have to attend to X in her illness, or I have to go to market with her. I wish I could do all of this with a calm mind. I hope I am clear. Sherbindo replies, quite, and you are right. But I don't see the way out for the moment, unless you can separate yourself within and put a guard of calm aloofness around you. So he says, now you are going there, so there's no other way, I think, unless you put a guard of calmness or aloofness around you, it will not work. This happens, though, isn't it? Sometimes we go with people we care, and then the entire atmosphere, our own atmosphere, not the atmosphere around us, internal also, gets disturbed. And sometimes you don't have a choice also, no? That's the we have certain bandhanas in life which we have to experience. So, but at that time also, if we can just create one guard around ourselves, because there are people sometimes you can't eliminate people from your life. Otherwise, you'll become a don. That is not something which we can do. But we can create a guard, we can make some kind of a shield around us so that that calmness, that aloofness will carry us and protect us from any sort of vital draining. Let's continue. Nirotpuran writes, Mother, one mistaken idea seems to trouble me for some time. I feel that in the evening, whenever my eyes catch your look, you suddenly turn it away. I come to see you with some misapprehension, lest you do not look at me. I am sure there is no truth in my imagination. Shashimaji has heard something similar before, or when
No,
people would discuss?
I can't help smiling and laughing because he's really put everything under a microscope. I
Yeah,
mean,
he's
he's
very
not letting go
analytical.
of them for of anything. Like, would
Yes,
you explain why you did this to me? It's all about him. So I can't, it's like a child who won't let go till he's
yes,
satisfied.
yes, yes. And Maji, you had gone and got mother's darshan many times, isn't it?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and your friends also.
Family members, friends, yes.
So, have you heard any of them today? Mother was looking a little strictly at me, or I feel this kind of dialogue.
No, no,
No,
this
okay.
is totally in a class of its own.
Okay, Dr. Niranjan is very special this way. Yes.
Absolutely.
Shervindo replies again, no, there is no truth in it. It is your own idea, your apprehension and misapprehension that produce in you the misconception that mother does not want to look at you. And an exclamation mark. But it is not going to stop. Niranjan is going to have this at least for a great period of time. Niranjan, he goes on. Last night I had a funny dream. My sleep suddenly broke off, and I heard someone saying to me, standing near my head, that Shervindo has asked him to use my soap, and I had a distinct sweet smell of the soap. I was frightened and trembled all over. Any significance? He is asking all these questions, even the silliest of dreams, and Sri Aurobindo replies, in itself, the dream was absurd and has no significance. But wow, Sri Aurobindo is in this. I'll just read the dream again because I didn't register in my head. Just give me one moment, please. Yeah, so last night I had a funny dream. My sleep suddenly broke off, and I heard somebody say to me, standing near my head, that Sri Aurobindo has asked him to use my soap, and that I had a distinct sweet smell of the soap. Okay, I was frightened and trembled all over. So anyway, so Sri Aurobindo has replied, in itself the dream was absurd and has no significance. But it may be the transcription made by the mind was false, and the man standing at the head was a vital force approaching. That alone would explain the fear. But this kind of fear ought to be got over. The sadhak has to be able to face the vital world in waking or in sleep with courage, calm, and confidence in the protection. Oh, wow, this is actually very beautiful. If you look at it, it seemed like a very insignificant dream. And even while I was reading, I forgot it the moment I read it. So, second time I had to read. But here, Sri Aurobindo has told that it has no dream has not much significance, but the transcription made by the mind was false, meaning sometimes our dreams have significance, but how we interpret it, no? This is very important. So, in our levels of consciousness, there is a subconscious, there is a inconscient, there are then higher states where we get different omens and symbols, and then there is a superconscious state also. But all these aside, there's always this mixing of different levels. So this mind has now whatever was seen in that dream that was forgotten, or the mind mistranslated it and made it something else. And the man standing by the head was like a vital force, a force rushing in. Because he said he felt frightened, no? And trembled all over. So this frightened fear was a subconscious fear coming out as a reaction to some kind of force. Sometimes we get dreams, and dreams we get some very interesting experiences. We see lions, we see sometimes snakes, and different things. Each of these have a symbol, and those who are aware of the dream, meaning of dreams, who are conscious of it, and how we experience the dream also makes a difference. Meaning, you see a lion and you are not frightened, then it can show that it could be a some kind of symbol of grace of the divine, a protection of the divine. There are so many such symbols. Same with the snake also. Snake also has, whether if you're having fear looking at it, that means it's a bad omen, or be ready. Some forces are working. Meaning of what forces are working is just like, say, I have to now travel tomorrow to do some good work. Today I'm going to trip. That is because of what? We not imagine it to be some kind of devil or demon or something like that. When we talk about opposing forces, it could be anything, some kind of hurdles which come up. So these are all indications of the same. So we have to become extra alert. That is what is the solution, nothing else. So here, the fear, Sri Aurobindo says, could be maybe because some vital force was approaching and you are conscious, semi-conscious of it. So that is making you afraid. But this fear is not good. Fear of any type is not required in sadhana. Every sadhak must overcome all fears. You cannot carry fears in your head and still expect your sadhana to go ahead. Whatever little fears are, we must confront them and overcome them. And many fears are very irrational. If we realize that, then we just become free of them. Like I know one very senior sadhak who's afraid of needles, injections, and hospital. Just no matter what, this even if the smallest, the person suddenly gets taken over by fear. No, I have to go to the hospital. Otherwise, this person is very strong. So this is something which is irrational. And Sri Aurobindo has written that sadhak has to be able to face the vital world in waking or in sleep, whether in sleep or whether you are awake, with courage, calm, and confidence in the protection of the divine. They say, Jako rakhe saiya mar sake na koi. Or in my school, there was one nice, always there was on the board, there was one writing. If God be for us, who can be against us? Such a simple message, but that is the thing. You have the protection. Who is going to, which force will trouble you when the force of the divine is with you? That aspect is important. Dr.
Um,
Nirodharan, he writes further. He
I
says,
wanted,
yes, please, Aditya.
yeah, you said that like some dreams have significances.
Yes,
So how
yes.
can we recognize like which dream has significance or which is just trivial?
We have to first, means, maybe you can write down, no, the dreams, Aditya, when you are, and many times if you're able to remember it, it's something nice. And then you can just write it, like sometimes a child being born. Now, a 60-year-old person got a dream of a child being born. What should the significance be? Should the son immediately say, wow, mom, you're going to give me one more good news? Am I going to get a brother or a sister? Or if you see the birth of a child is what, it's a good omen always, isn't it? It's a creation of something new, or a birth of a new consciousness, or a new project is going to come in life. Something new is going to appear. Like these are their symbolisms, so we should identify them. We should identify the aspect, and it should be free of the transcription. Because now, why will Sri Aurobindo ask somebody to use a soap for that? In Nirodharan's dream has become something like that. No? So these are all what we call in even in statistics, or nowadays when we do AI studies also, data is sometimes filled with what we call garbage data, no? Or what we call hallucinations. That machine languages also do the same thing, isn't it? LLMs also have this habit, no? They
Mm.
start inventing data, making new data which is not required. So, like that, in our dreams, we'll have to remove, and what we call cleaning, like cleaning of data, we'll have to remove the unnecessary aspects of the dream. And then probably we can identify the symbolism. Like, just if you would like to, I think just if you can remember something, we can just look at if you want anything, any dream you can remember right now, out of the blue.
Yeah, like a few days back only I dreamt that I'm meeting all my friends
You're
like
meeting all your friends.
with different stages of life. Like till afternoon I'm with one friend, then I travel to another friend's place,
Okay.
and a friend like who was my say college friend, then I moved, then
Hmm.
went and met my friend
Uh,
many years after that. So
so
maybe
they were all of them were your friends of the current ages, or they were of different?
different ages, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay, they were at different ages than what they are now. And how are you
No,
feeling
no, no.
while
No,
meeting?
the current age only, but
Okay, so you were meeting
my different
all.
stages of life.
Okay, so different people you were meeting.
Yes, yes.
And what was your feeling at that
It
time?
was very nice, like nice.
So it's some all right. So it was like we can say it is somewhere inner satisfaction, no?
Yeah, yeah,
Is you can say that this symbol could be some kind of inner satisfaction of the meeting. If you had more of sorrow, it would be like a longing and missing. Here it is somewhere a trupti is there, some kind of fulfillment is there in your relationship with these people.
yeah.
Some of them might have created some trouble to you also, but you are still feeling fulfilled in the. It means that somewhere on the soul level, something has, some
Yeah.
completion has taken place,
Yeah,
some
and in
closure.
that
Yeah,
dream, it was also like I was giving food a lot, like
you were giving to
giving
others.
food.
Okay.
Me, not to my friends, but to anybody like who I was
Oh,
feeling
wow.
hungry, that I was giving away food a lot. Yeah.
Okay, so I think that some kind of you are now receiving a lot in that. It could mean that could be the symbolism, isn't it? Who can give, who has received, and in somewhere you are now fulfilled in some portion, somewhere that now you want to spread it. So it's something like that. But as we go deeper and we just write that down, and sometimes when we observe our dreams more often, then we can actually draw beautiful parallels. Like like I said, the birth of a child, no, in somebody, and it means that something, if you just interpret it as, okay, a new birth of consciousness is taking place. Now, there are multiple ways this can happen also. I saw a picture, and in that picture, the child was born, and so that became an impression, and that impression just was there in my subconscious that has come to the surface. Then it may not be a symbolism. But when it is not in your mind, not in your expectation, and not come from a particular, then it becomes a symbol. So that your relation now with the friends, you keep an eye on those friends. See, just see, and then you will know. Like that individual also who has seen now a child which is not from a outer, what we can say, impression, but it has come from some angle, then it means an omen of a new start. And then that individual can. I have seen one person tell about what they saw in the dream and interpreting it after it has happened, that this was exactly what was there. It need not be exactly the same, but sometimes it's very useful. It is very, because they kind of turn out to be hints at times. And sometimes people get lots, biggest hints of their life also. Sometimes they get protection from the divine because of the dreams. So, yes, let us maybe become conscious. Let's continue. Nirodbaran, he writes, I hear that many people have been on the point of going away due to the pressure of yoga. So, Nirodbaran is saying many people are going away because of the pressure of yoga. Here, Sharvindo replies, it is not due to the pressure of yoga, but to the pressure of something in them that negates the yoga. If one follows one's psychic being and higher mental will, no amount of pressure of yoga can produce such results. People talk as if yoga had some maleficent force in which it produces these results. It is on the contrary, the resistance to yoga that does it. Many people say if you walk on the spiritual path, then you will have more problems. Then if you do like this will lead to more. These are all not the exact consequences, like how Sri Aurobindo was being told by Dr. Nirodparan. Because of pressure of yoga, people are going away or going astray because this yoga is very special. It creates extra pressure. Sri Aurobindo says it's nothing like that. It is in the personality of the individual. Something is there that negates the yoga. Means if you follow your inner call, no? If you follow your inner voice, you follow your inner psychic being, no amount of pressure can take you away. That is what Sri Aurobindo has told. No external pressure can take you away from the path. It is the resistance inside of a person, no, that makes a person walk away from the spiritual path. Arjuna also, before doing yoga sadhana only, he was saying, I want to know what is this yoga brashta takes place. Yoga brashta, a person walking on the spiritual path is not able to keep up. Will he not become, will he not disappear like a cloud? Become like a Trishanku. He's neither on this path nor on that path. Will that person not suffer more? That was the question Arjuna asked to Krishna in the Gita. And Krishna very beautifully said, there's nothing like, there's no regression on the path of yoga, there's only progress. A person reaches one state and then the person goes further ahead. But what makes a person drive away from that path is the resistance to it, the personal individual resistance, not the path which is designed to take people away. And very clearly, Sri Aurobindo says, if it's your inner voice, you have listened to the psychic being's voice, and then there is no chance that if there's a, like there are two things. One is a psychic being, one follows one psychic being and a higher mental will. Sometimes with the higher mind we can understand, isn't it, that one is this is right and this is wrong. So even if you understand by that this is right, and once you decide I want this is right and this is the righteous path, this is the path I have chosen. No matter who comes to lure you away from the path of righteousness, you will never go astray. This is one thing where you have clearly understood. And the other is when the voice of the psychic being is there. Yes, Chitraji wants to say something? No, all right, fine. So these are the two things. So No force in the world can take a person away from the path. It is the force inside of that individual, the resistance inside of the individual, resistance to transformation, resistance to change that makes a person go astray, but not an outer force or the force of yoga. So let's continue. We look at one more uh, question answer and then we will complete our session today. The mother in Conversations says that the first effect of yoga is to take away the mental control so that the ideas and desires which were so long checked become surprisingly prominent and create difficulties. One thing about Nirodharan is he tries very well to justify every statement that he makes and then he tries to bring out examples from here and there. But Sri Aurobindo replies in detail to everything. And that is why this is so beautiful. This is like a, like a journal of yoga of Nirodharan only. His questions show us the state of his mind and how the progression took place. That is a beautiful chance to study it. Let us see the last correspondence for today. Sri Aurobindo replies, once more, I will just read the question. The mother in Conversations says that the first effect of yoga is to take away the mental control so that the ideas and desires which were so long checked become surprisingly prominent and create difficulties. Sri Aurobindo replies, they were not prominent because they were getting some satisfaction, or at least the vital generally was getting indulged in one way or another. When they are no longer indulged, then they become obstreperous. But they are not new forces created by the yoga. They were there all the time. What is meant by the mental control being removed is the mental simply kept them in check but could not remove them. So in yoga, the mental has to be replaced by the psychic or spiritual self control, which could do what the mental cannot. Only many sadhaks do not make this exchange in time and withdraw the mental control merely. This is something very interesting. The last part, I just read it again. What is meant by the mental control being removed is that the mental simply kept them in check but could not remove them. So in yoga, the mental has to be replaced by the psychic or spiritual self control, which could do what the mental cannot. Only many sadhaks do not make this exchange in time and withdraw the mental control merely. So, one of the things in sadhana is to go beyond the mind. So why should we go beyond the mind? Because the mind is limited, limited by its own rational, limited by its own sanskaras, limited by its own limited logic. So it will function according to it only, isn't it? When initially humans never thought that they could ever fly, isn't it? Aeroplanes before they got existed. I mean, before they got invented. The concept of a human being flying was considered a joke. That's for the birds, not for humans. Because to the mental logic, this was not possible. But after the invention, immediately mental logic understood, yes, this can be done because that is the experience. So our experience is only based on our past experience only, no? My intellect is going to have its own say, but my mind will work according to a particular logic. And my mind will work according to my logic only, no? Not like your logic or anybody else's logic, because everybody's mind works in a different pattern. So, one of the important things about sadhana is to get out of this stamp of mental limitation. And for that, that mental control has to be given up. And what should be done then? Well, the mental control has to be replaced by the psychic or spiritual self control, either through self control, by adhyatmic knowledge or understanding that there are things beyond the mind, beyond my senses. You establish a good self control, then you become great sadhak. Or when the psychic, the inner voice teaches a person, forget this thought of your mind, it's still limited. The divine can do something bigger beyond your understanding. Surrender to the divine will. throw away your mental thoughts. Then it's possible to transform. And then there is no problem. But what problem happens is many sadhaks leave the mental control, but don't transition and establish self control or psychic's control. That is where the problem comes. There was once Sri Aurobindo had to make a statement: I have asked to surrender your mind, not your common sense. Because a lot of people suddenly started doing a lot of silly things. When you're talking about transcending the mind, well, it has to be replaced. So that is why these problems, more problems occur, because not because of the yoke, because of the nature of the person. It's like easy to blame, this student is doing bad in the society because the student is from this school. Very easy for the society to say that, isn't it? But it is not like that. It is not. It is the individual's responsibility. On every path of yoga, you will find very interesting specimens, isn't it? Whichever path of the yoga, we cannot just say that. Oh, see this, because of this person, this path is bad. It's not the path. It's not the path. It's the people. That is one important thing. So with this, we conclude our session today. If anybody can, if anybody has any queries or anything you wish to share, you're welcome, or we can look at the summary. Anyone would like to give a summary today? Yes.
Like one takeaway is that transformation takes time.
Yeah. And we have very little time, or we have a lot of time?
We have time.
We have time, isn't it, Aditi? So there's no rush and there's no hurry. And very beautifully, Sri Aurobindo talked about this birth or another, no problem. The journey has to go on ahead towards divinity. Yes.
God also has time. We also have time.
Yeah, yeah. We are eternal if we look at it that way, no? If we look at from that state of consciousness. Yes.
He'll keep waiting for us. We'll keep
Yeah,
taking.
yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Absolutely. Yes. Anybody else?
The
Okay,
divine
Chitraji? Yeah.
protection, yeah, the divine's protection is always there, whether
Hmm.
we are awake or we are asleep. So knowing that can also help us even in the state when we are asleep. Those reactions of fear that come out
Huh.
sometimes in the state of when you're out of your dream or something. So that also
Hmm.
can be transcended, knowing that divine's protection is there.
The protection of the divine, conscious that the divine is protecting me, then there's nothing to be afraid of, whether I'm awake or even in my sleep. Even if the my biggest enemy or the greatest asura comes in my dream, I need not be worried because Krishna is there, Mataji is there, Sri Aurobindo is there, whatever Aradhya we believe in, have that faith that divine is there. Where is the fear then? Absolutely. Any other points?
Patience and perseverance.
Yeah, patience and perseverance. So that is the important key. And there's one interesting thing about like he was writing for somebody else, isn't it? Prayers.
Yeah.
So that was one interesting thing that we sometimes pray so much for I'm praying not for me, but for this person. I want this
Mm.
prayer to be fulfilled. Well, it's nice to have such a nice heart and want and aspire for betterment of somebody else. But if that individual does not know what yoga is, not know in the sense, does not have no meaning of surrendering to the divine, if that person
Mm.
has no goodwill towards anything from the divine, where will the force of the divine work on such an individual? If there's no receptivity and the individual is completely closed, so it's better not
Mm.
wasting our time on that. Instead, better say the universal prayer only. No? Sarve bhavantu sukhina. Let all who have to receive it. No, the prayer, offer it to the divine. Let all be happy. Let all be blissful. Specific prayers when we do it goes. When just a mother prays for the daughter from one part of the country, the mother is praying, and another part of the world, it's not even the same country, another part of the globe also, the daughter may be sitting there, or the child, the son may be there. That child may receive the inspiration and force of the prayers of the mother. I know of one person who was conscious and who was a sadhak. He had asked his father, I want you to pray for me. This exam is very difficult. And the father said, all right, what time is it? Everything he told the message. And okay, I will meditate from here. And after the exam, the son came. He was very irritated. He said, what happened? Well, he said, you prayed for me, but you prayed late. I received the force after 15 minutes. Then I got the force and I started writing, but you should have sent it to me 15 minutes before.
Idea.
But look at that, isn't it? That receptivity is felt. So when the receptivity is felt, it's worth praying. Otherwise, what's the use? That is what Sri Aurobindo had talked about. You need to know the individual before you pray for that individual, whether that individual understands, has an opening for the yoga. So I think with this, we are ready to complete our session today. Unless there are any other questions or anything else to share, we'll conclude with the Shanti Mantra. All right. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् हरि ओम तत्सत् कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं पुनर्मिलामः see you next I think Sunday I will be traveling. So, 2 Sundays I might be traveling for that workshop. That conference is there. So, we will have to reconnect after that. I'll try to see when we can. I'll drop a message in
Thank
the group where we can continue. Yes, yes,
thank
Majid?
you. I have a request. It's only a
Yes, yes.
request. This session that we do on Sunday, the taped video comes in both the groups. I am so sorry. I get confused. I'm jumping from group to group.
Yeah,
Is
okay.
it not possible just to make a group just for this? Because there's so much coming in on both the groups that I'm
Okay, so
tired. I
for you
apologize
to
of
no, for
it's
you to
confusing.
look at it again, is it?
Yes, like you
Okay,
had you made a group for each class. Perhaps it wouldn't be a bad idea if we could have a group just for this one, because
okay,
people are
fine.
commenting, which is wonderful. But I'm
Okay.
going up and down in both
Right, right. Noted,
groups,
noted. So we'll form the
so would
group for
appreciate
correspondence
that.
with Sri Aurobindo. Okay, yes, Majid.
That'd
We
be
will.
ever so
And that
kind.
would be nice in the way that those who are interested in that group, we can put the link. All right.
Absolutely.
Fine, Ji.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Ji. Thank you. All right, Ji. Namaste.
Good night. God bless.
Good night, Ji. Thank you, Ji.